Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Real Estate Talk with me, Stephanie Thomas, Broker Connections Realty Group. And
Demetrius Lockett with Southeast Mortgage.
guys, we are happy to have another great episode. And as usual, we're just out here. We want to educate the community as much as we can about various topics as it relates to real estate. And today, what we thought we wanted to bring to you all, well, what we're going to bring to you all is we're going to talk about the VA loan. I know you all heard a lot about it. I know some people have used it, but we're going to talk about that a little bit with Demetrius. And Demetrius, first of all, could you share with everybody what is the VA loan?
VA loan is a loan that originally started back during World War I when they wanted veterans to be able to come back and quickly be a part of the community, a part of society. So what would happen is that VA would guarantee that you can purchase a home with absolutely no money down. It started at 144,000, and now it has completely increased. But yeah, the intention was to be able to bring veterans back into the fold and be part of society as well.
I think it's one of the best loans and
It
a
is.
great
It
way of
absolutely
giving back.
is.
Yeah, a great way of giving back to those who fought for this country. So I think that is absolutely awesome. Now, I get this a lot to Demetrius. Who can actually use the VA loan?
Well, typically the answer is the veteran or the spouse of the veteran in terms of sometimes if the veteran passes, sometimes their benefits can pass as well. But the certificate of eligibility, which is what you'll get, is intended for the veteran, the person
Okay,
that's
got it. So no children, no
no.
cousins, right? It's pretty much for the veteran.
Correct. And not only that, a lot of people ask the question, well, what if I'm on it with my dad or my sister? Both of you will have to be veterans or married to the veteran in order to take advantage of that eligibility, that benefit.
Now, for those, let's say there's somebody who was in the military. How long do you have to have been in the military in order to qualify for the VA loan? Like, what are the requirements for that, including the space and time that they were in the military?
Well, for active duty people, they have to be in active duty for at least 90 days, which a lot of people don't know. So let's say, for example, you got drafted and had to go to wherever there is war, and there's war everywhere, but you were in active duty and you did that for 4 months, well, you now come back with the certificate of eligibility, which means you can buy a house with no money down. If you're a reservist, it has to be 6 years, because that's where you just do the weekend and 2 weeks a year. But you'd have to do that for 6 years. But typically, 90 days of service or 6 years if you're a reservist is what they look for.
Okay, okay. And are there any other requirements? And I know each case is different, but
Yes,
just in a general sense, is there any other requirement in order to tap into your VA loan?
absolutely. Just a couple. And you're right, there are several, but there's some basic ones that people just ought to know. One is it needs to be your primary residence. They're not looking to create a stream of legacy or investment income for you. So it needs to be a property that you live in. But something that some people don't know is you can purchase a multi-unit property using your VA eligibility just as long as you're going to live in at least one of the units. But I'm sure we can cover that another time. But um, needs to be your primary residence. Of course, you have to get approved for a loan. What VA does is essentially guarantee, in case of foreclosure or default, they guarantee that the bank still will get their money up to a certain percentage. So you still have to qualify. So you need a job or some kind of stream of income. And typically you need at least at least somewhere a 580 or better credit score. But they don't essentially have a minimum credit score. They are very good at doing case by case. But obviously, the better the credit score, the better the approval, the more options that you end up having.
Okay, I love that. I love that. So and what requirement would people, if they, they meet the requirements, right?
Uh-huh.
And they
Yes.
want to now apply for a VA loan, what are some of the documents according to the VA loan that
Okay.
they have to turn into you or, a loan officer?
Absolutely. And it's actually pretty easy. They VA has evolved a lot over the years, over the decades, I should say, and making it very user friendly for both the lender who has to loan the money, as well as the veteran who has to go through the application process. But the documents that you need are first, you have to prove your income. So we want a month's worth of whatever your income is. And I don't know what's going on with this camera. Um, at least a month's worth of income. So let's say, for example, you're retired, you get Social Security income or some kind of income that you receive once a month. We need a copy of one of those. We've got to be able to document your last 2 years' income. So we need your last 2 years' W-2s, your photo ID, a copy of your bank statement, your DD 214, which is your discharge papers. That allows us to get the certificate of eligibility for you. So you don't have to worry about getting that. Um, And that's pretty much what gets us started. That's
Okay,
assuming they're not self-employed or some, different things, but for the majority of the veterans that aren't self-employed, those are the documents that are needed.
okay. And so the DD
DD 214,
two,
which is the discharge
right.
paper. Yes,
Okay, got it. So either you can be discharged or you can be active duty and
correct.
still purchase a home.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay,
If
I
you're
like it. I like it.
if
Like
you're
it.
still in the military though, you get something called a letter from your CO, commanding officer, and it just tells your years, which we then use that in place of a DD 214.
Okay, understood. Now let me ask you this: if you're an active duty
Mm-hmm.
and you're buying a house, let's just say you're in another country,
Okay.
and but you want to purchase a home, you still have 3 years to do, right? Can
Mm-hmm.
you purchase a home in the state
Mm-hmm.
while you're still on active duty in another country?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. A lot
So
of
then
people,
your family just has to live there.
it needs to make sense, but
Okay.
keep in mind, if you don't have a house anywhere and you want to buy a house in Toledo, and that's where you say that you're going to live, you can buy a house in Toledo. They typically like to see that there is some kind of family relationship where it makes sense, but of course, they're not going to penalize you if you don't have family, but you can still have
Okay.
relationships in different places.
Okay. Okay. Love it. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. And so and I think that's a great thing for some who are, active military, but their families, like the spouse and the children, are still in a certain place. Y'all know where you want to land. This is a good
Absolutely.
opportunity, especially if they're paying rent somewhere else anyway. You might as well be building that equity. So that is a good plan.
And a
I
lot
have
of
somebody
people
I need
do
to
that.
call
That's
after this.
smart. That's very smart.
Yes, absolutely. I like that. Um, in addition to, because I know one great benefit, but if you had to give people um, the benefits of why, if you can go BA, you should go BA, what would you say?
Um, First of all, I think it's not just a benefit, it is a benefit that's earned, and you earn
Yes.
that through service. Um, and really, when you start thinking about it, it has real cash value. Um, Most of the time, at the very least, you're looking at a down payment, if you're not a veteran, of let's say 3%. And the average price right now is about 300,000. That's $9,000 that you save in the home buying process. And a lot of people don't realize that's not your only cost. It's not down payment. You also have the cost of um, setting up your escrow account, setting up prepaid. So there's other things that you can use your money for, including buying down the interest rate. So it just makes you a more, um, I would say, savvy buyer because it gives you more options, a lot of options that a lot of us wish we had. The other thing which we have not talked about is mortgage insurance. Mortgage insurance is required on most loans if you don't, unless you put 20% down. On VA, there is no monthly mortgage insurance. That saves you hundreds
Awesome.
of dollars in payments, hundreds of dollars, thousands over the lifetime of the loan. Just that's just another benefit. Obviously, if you don't have mortgage insurance or any insurance, it also increases how much you can purchase and still have the same payment as perhaps your neighbor who has that mortgage insurance. So that's another benefit. Um, I think a benefit of having a VA loan is knowing that they have the lowest default rate of any loan type, including conventional, including FHA, because that administration that backs the lending or backs your loan is very committed to making sure that you don't default. And they have things that they put in place to help make sure that that happens. So I think those are just some of the benefits. I also think, though, Stephanie, a lot of people have misconceptions, especially on the real estate end, that a VA loan is not as good as maybe somebody bringing an offer with a conventional loan. Would you say that's true?
Yeah, I would say I think the misconception was when it came to the uh, appraisal, what the appraisal would make uh, notes of, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I found if your house was in good condition, not perfect, but just good condition, they are no different from anybody else. But that was a thing for people. So I'm hoping that as agents, we're more knowledgeable now
Mm-hmm.
that VA asks for no more than FHA.
Absolutely. And oftentimes not even or the same as conventional. The only difference is these are the same appraisers. The same appraisers that would do your conventional and do your FHA also do your VA. They've just gone through another certification. And they do want it to be safe for the veteran. But as seasoned agents, like you mentioned, you can kind of walk through the house and know that something might be an issue and bring it in. Most of those times it's safety concerns anyway. But one thing I
Absolutely.
think a lot of agents don't know um, is that the seller is not required to do the repair. You can allow the buyer to do it. Y'all can negotiate who gets it done and who pays for that.
Okay, with the VA. Okay.
I didn't
Awesome
know
stuff.
that. That's something that I recently
Yes,
learned. Yeah. So that sometimes helps. There's no reason to not take a VA loan because of cost, because the cost can be the same as if you're doing a conventional buyer. And then most times, that buyer as well, the VA buyer has more assets and more reserves than your conventional buyer or other buyer because they don't have to use that $9,000 that's otherwise needed. So,
absolutely. And I'm going to add to that right now in this market, if you are a VA buyer, it's such a great time because, of course, you don't have to pay the down payment. Right now, sellers are more open to paying closing costs, helping with closing costs. So a lot of times right now, you can walk in with paying um, your earnest money, your inspection, and your appraisal.
right.
I mean, it's cheaper to buy with a VA loan than it is to rent.
Absolutely. Because on an apartment,
So
you're going to need at least the first and
absolutely,
last. Yes.
absolutely. So for my VA buyers, if you're going to do anything, now is definitely a peak time. And like you were saying, not having to pay the mortgage insurance, your payment would be lower than most because
Hmm.
now you don't have that mortgage insurance in there. So this is a prime time. I'm going to tell you, if you VA, you winning right now. So this is a perfect time to take advantage and get that home that you really want. I love it. I love it. Quick question. I just thought off the top of my head,
Yes,
Demetrius.
ma'am.
There is no penalties for you don't because there's no grants or anything. You don't have to stay in the house a certain amount of time or anything like that, do you?
Well,
Or do you?
the intent is that it's going to be your primary residence. And
Right.
in that intent, they're thinking for at least 12 months. Of course, they cannot force you to stay there, but they're believing that they're giving you that loan based on the fact that you are going to live in that house for at least the next 12 months, um, which I think is fair. The other thing to keep in mind is that VA loans typically are cheaper in interest rates than some of the other lending types because the
I
foreclosure
love it.
rate is so low. There's a lot of great things to do in terms of considering a VA loan, I think.
Yes. And I just want to say we are very VA heavy. And the way we treat all of our clients the same. We strive for top notch everything, right? We realize that purchasing a house is the largest purchase that most people make, and therefore we treat them accordingly. But there's a little sweet spot
Mhm.
for our VA because they did defend the country, right? Just like our civil servants, our firefighters, our nurses, like huge love for those who take care of
Absolutely.
us, those
Absolutely.
who are in the country. So, and we always have some great incentives. So if you are in any of those medical profession, if you're veteran, past or present, right? Definitely reach out to us because we go the extra mile for you guys. And like I said, no more than anybody else, but there's just a special passion there for
Absolutely.
us to help you along as our other clients get everything that we can get for you all and education included. Um, I love it. So is there anything else that you can think to share about the VA loan?
I think a lot of people, just to recap, you don't need as many documents as you think you do. It's just a few, and we'll go over those real quick again. You need a copy of your photo ID and your social security card to prove who you are, your last pay stub, your last 2 years W-2s, and a bank statement. We'll run a credit report, and we'll be able to tell you how much you can qualify for based on your income. And if you're not satisfied with that or need to do something different, then we'll work with you to get you where you need to go. The great thing with VA is they tend to be very flexible. And this year you can buy a house up to $800,000 and still take advantage of the standard low interest rates.
Wow.
Of course, you can buy one up to 2 million with VA with no down payment now based on their new law, as long as you qualify for it. So I think that's a great thing as well. Um, some people sometimes definitely ask about, can they get down payment assistance? On VA, there is no down payment to necessarily assist with, but sometimes we can get some grants or some down payment assistance from different entities to help you with your other costs. So that is sometimes an option as well. And that's one of the things that we'll absolutely look at as we review your application also.
Guys, remember, this is case by case basis. So a lot of this information, we give you general information. But once you do the application, it is based upon your information and what you have going on and what your needs are. And I always say that because a lot of times as I talk to clients, they're saying, well, my sister, my cousin, promise you, everybody's blueprint is different. And
Absolutely.
again, we consult for free. It doesn't cost you anything but transparency. And I want y'all to understand this. Sometimes I think people think when it comes to the credit and the income, you're scared of what it's going to look like. When you
Mhm.
talk to the loan officer, when you talk to the real estate agent, we are on your team. Our job. So there's nothing you can keep from us that you should keep from us, right? That once you put it up there, you can't take it back. We're the people that you talk to before it goes to the people who make the decision. The
Absolutely.
loan officer, before it goes to the underwriter, and we're going to talk about that in another segment. The loan officer is not the be all, right? They're not the people that make the decision. They are the people that make sure that everything that you send, that they can pack it nicely, that it has everything that it needs. This is why I say that you're partners. So that then when it goes to the underwriter and the processor, everything they need is there.
Hmm.
Okay. So I want y'all to get it again. This isn't the person who stamps yes or no. This is the person, the loan officer is the person that's going to say, hey, this is what else we need. Hey, I'm going to need this because they're probably going to ask me for that. They are your partners. I don't want to say in crime because we don't go to jail and we don't do illegal things, but they're your partners in your home buying process. Okay. So I want you to know this is the time that you can be completely transparent because our job is to set you up for success, to make
Absolutely.
sure your file looks like it needs to look. So when the underwriting, the processor gets it, they say, wow, okay, got it, got it, got it, got it, got it. And most of the time, everything is in order. But it is imperative that you be completely honest. Because I'm going to tell y'all now, if somebody was trying to borrow $300,000 from you, would you not check everything that you could possibly check? Absolutely. So
Absolutely.
guess what? They do the same exact thing. So anything you think you can get away with, you cannot. The best way is to talk to your loan officer to see, what other ways we can go about it, getting it done the right way. I just had to share that to me just because I think
That's good.
it
I think that's important. Um, because I think people get into this and they become scared or they become nervous thinking that we're part of the team that's judging them and it's our job to prepare them, to plan for them. It's a big difference.
absolutely, absolutely. So y'all don't be afraid. When we say, hey, talk to the loan officer, it's so that we can get the plan. They're on our side. Not that the processors in them are not, because they want this to happen for you, but they're there to scrutinize to make sure everything that's needed, all the I's are dotted, all the T's are crossed. That's their job.
Absolutely.
Our job on this end is make sure that they're already dotted and they're crossed before they go over. Okay? So we're your friends. We don't judge. You're the dreamer, we're the planners. We help you with the dream of home ownership. So I think that's very, 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 very important. Um, Demetrius, I
Yes,
know you
ma'am.
love working with veterans.
I
Is
do.
there anything else that you want to give out, including your information, so people can give you a call if they're VA or otherwise, but definitely some VA clients?
Well, I absolutely want to leave my number, but I noticed that we have just a few minutes left. I was wondering, is it possible for you as an agent to kind of just share what limitations they have in terms of types of properties that you can show veterans versus, say, a borrower that's getting FHA or conventional?
No, there is none. Like I said, VA could buy, like you said, multifamily, single family, townhomes, condos,
Okay.
unless there's some restrictions on the other side. So there are no restrictions to whatever they decide to buy.
So really getting a VA loan is cheaper for the buyer, probably more concrete for the seller because they're dealing with someone that has a some reserves and doesn't need down payment, which is the biggest hurdle for most people. Um, and from my standpoint, we can close a VA loan in 21 days. My record's been 12, but typically 21 days. It goes smooth. It's not the old VA that a lot of people worried about in terms of appraisal conditions and a whole bunch of extra. It's just not. It's a really solid way for a buyer to buy and a seller to sell or in terms of receiving a new buyer. So, but I can
I
be
love it.
reached at 404-396-7445 with Southeast Mortgage. Again, that's 404 396 7445.
Y'all know, of course, I'm your girl, Stephanie Thomas, the Broker Connections Realty Group. My number is 404-246-3841. And I want you to know this. It doesn't matter if you're ready right now. If you're going to make the largest purchase that you make in your life, take the time to plan accordingly. And I'm not like most agents who don't want to talk to you if you're not ready right now, you're wasting my time. I
Absolutely.
love it when we actually get a chance to go on the journey because once you really get started, this only takes 30 days and it really goes pretty quickly. Okay. So this gives us some time to believe together, to dream together, to put the plan together. And that way, when you close, the victory is so much sweeter because we actually had a chance to go on a journey. So I and Demetrius would love to go on this journey with you so we can
Absolutely.
really celebrate at the end because we actually went from here to there versus you called me and you're ready today. Okay. So don't worry about being ready today. Just have the desire and we'll put the plan in place and we'll go from there. Guys, you can
Absolutely.
reach me at 404-246-3841 and let's get it going. We're going to be doing some events soon so y'all can come out so we can just kick it. It's not all about the
Absolutely.
sale. We're here before the sale, we're here during the sale, and we're here after the sale, okay? Just continue to keep you all girded up with information even after you purchase, okay? Because there's so much more after that. So, Demetrius, as usual, thank you so much for your
Thank
time.
you. Thank you. And thank you for those that invested time in hearing more. We can give you more information. Reach out to Stephanie, reach out to me. We can make sure that you have a personalized blueprint for your VA journey as well. Thank you, guys.
All right, y'all have a prosperous week. And Demetrius, let's go help some people.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Good day, everybody.